All the other dogs cost $800, but this one was only $50. It looked cheap, yet healthy, so the couple decided to buy it. But cheap did not mean good quality. As soon as they brought it home, the dog knocked over the food and ate it all off the floor. That night, Jack found a cardboard box for the dog to sleep in. But once the lights were off, it would not stop barking. Jack could not take it anymore and ended up sleeping with the dog in his arms. When he woke up, there was a hole in the pillow and the room was a complete mess. Whenever it rained, the dog became restless and destructive. After one storm, Jack and Annie opened the garage and found it nearly torn apart, with several holes chewed through the wooden boards. Annie enrolled the dog in a training class, but it completely ignored the trainer and even made him furious.
He is out!
Although the dog caused endless trouble, it unexpectedly brought good fortune to Jack. Jack worked at a newspaper and wrote a feature story about the dog and Annie. The article impressed his boss so much that Jack's salary was doubled. Soon after, Annie found out she was pregnant. To celebrate, Jack bought her a gold necklace, but the dog swallowed it soon after. With no choice, Jack waited all day for the dog to pass it. The next day, they went to the hospital for a prenatal checkup, with Annie wearing the necklace again. The doctor complimented it, but when Jack asked if the baby was healthy, the doctor suddenly could no longer detect a heartbeat. After the woman became pregnant, should the family dog be given away? After Annie lost the baby, the neighbors all said it was caused by their dog. The loss left the couple heartbroken, but they firmly believed it had nothing to do with the dog. After a long time, Annie became pregnant again. The couple looked forward to a better life. Late one night, the puppy suddenly became restless. It was not making trouble, but lying quietly beside Annie's bed. Not long after, Annie went into labor. The couple rushed to the hospital, leaving the dog alone at home chewing on a bone. This time, it didn't destroy anything, but stayed where it was, waiting for Annie to return. After a long while, the dog grew tired and fell asleep. When it woke up again, there was a tiny new presence in the house. The once mischievous dog became gentle in front of the baby, as if protecting a child of its own. Seeing this peaceful scene, Jack and Annie smiled at each other, filled with happiness. Not long after, Annie became pregnant with their second child. Jack had always dreamed of working for the New York Times. It was a goal he had carried for years, but the responsibility of supporting the family rested on his shoulders, leaving him no freedom to chase his dream. Annie encouraged him to go for it anyway. "Wherever you go, our family will move with you." Before long, he moved to London with Annie and their 3 children, beginning a brand new life. From then on, every day after work, the family would take the dog to play football on the lawn. The children slowly grew up in their new home, and the once playful dog grew old with them. The man noticed the dog was struggling to climb the stairs and had become quiet at home. One night, the dog went outside to relieve itself, but did not come back for a long time. They knew the dog was terrified of thunderstorms, so something had to be wrong. Worried sick, they searched everywhere in the rain. In the end, Jack found the dog under an old tree. Seeing how weak it was, Jack rushed the dog to the hospital. After examining him, the doctor sighed and said he was too old and would likely not survive the night. But Jack said he was not an ordinary dog and firmly believed he would pull through. Sure enough, early the next morning, the hospital called and said the dog could go home. After returning home, the dog was like before, still going to pick up the 2 children after school. Jack also spent more time staying with him, but the dog never regained his old energy and had to stop and rest after walking only a short distance. Sitting beside him, Jack said softly, "If that day really comes, you must tell me." The dog looked up at Jack and then slowly turned his gaze toward the distance. A few days later, the dog lay weakly under the big tree by the door. Annie sensed something was wrong and immediately called Jack. This time it seemed the dog truly could not hold on. In Annie's heart, the dog had long been like her own child. Jack rushed home and took the dog to the hospital again, but this time there was no miracle. The family held a simple funeral for the dog. Jack buried him under the big tree in front of the house so he could always watch his family. A dog's world is actually very simple. He never cares how rich you are or how well you live. As long as you treat him sincerely, he will repay you with a lifetime of companionship. If a dog had a human soul, would it be you who chose the dog or the dog who chose you? Race car driver Denny noticed a sign by the road and suddenly felt the urge to buy a pet dog. While choosing, a little puppy kept staring at Denny. Denny immediately decided to buy this golden retriever. When the puppy arrived at Denny's home, it instantly loved its new place. Denny named him Enzo. After settling Enzo in, Denny went to sleep. But the excited Enzo woke up at 3 in the morning. With no other choice, Denny carried him to the living room and watched TV with him. When Enzo saw a racing program, the roar of the engines deeply fascinated him. The next day at the race, Denny actually brought Enzo to the racetrack. With his exceptional skills, Denny won the race. He conquered everyone at the scene, including Enzo watching from the sidelines. Although Enzo could not speak, he was happier than anyone else inside. 1 year later, Enzo had grown up. He ran with Denny every day and went to the racetrack with him. One day, Denny met a woman at a supermarket, but Enzo did not like her at all. He felt she did not understand racing in the slightest. Soon after, Denny and Eve got married. Enzo served as the ring bearer and personally delivered the wedding rings to the couple. After the wedding, they moved into a new home and spent all their time closely together. Enzo expressed his dissatisfaction by knocking over picture frames. Until one day, Enzo noticed a new scent coming from Eve. Eve told Denny that she was pregnant. He sensed a strange smell on his owner. He didn't know what it meant, but he knew it was definitely not a good sign. He wanted to warn her, but God had not given him the ability to speak. Glancing at the pregnancy test on the table, Enzo realized he was about to become an uncle. Sure enough, the next day while shopping, the news was confirmed. Months passed, and Eve's belly slowly grew.
You want to know what it feels like? Good boy.
One night, Eve reached the moment that would turn her from a wife into a mother. Danny had gone off to race again, but thankfully, Enzo stayed by her side. Watching Danny's race live on TV, Enzo anxiously tried to comfort Eve in his own way. At the exact moment Danny overtook his opponent, a new life was born in the house as well. When Danny finally rushed home, Enzo stood proudly like a victorious general. As time passed with everyone's care, little Zoe gradually grew up. Throughout it all, Uncle Enzo played a big role. But happiness never lasts forever. The strange smell on Eve's clothes grew stronger and stronger. Finally, on a bright and sunny weekend, the hidden danger inside her fully erupted. Eve was struck by a splitting headache. She had to get Zoe settled as quickly as possible. But in her rush, she forgot about Enzo. As a bone, Enzo had no other way. He could only attract attention by barking wildly. With the help of passers-by, Eve was taken away in an ambulance. And in order to care for her, Danny had no choice but to leave Enzo with a friend. Enzo wanted to stay with Eve, but dogs were not allowed into the hospital. When Danny came to pick him up the next day, Eve had already undergone tumor removal surgery. In the days that followed, Danny took on all the responsibilities of the household by himself. Day after day passed, but Eve never came home from the hospital. To take care of Zoe, Danny had to learn many new skills. On weekends, Zoe would stay at her grandmother's house for 2 days. But whenever things quieted down, Danny would sink into a heavy sense of exhaustion and gloom. Enzo did not know how to comfort him. The only thing he could do was take Danny out for walks. It was not until autumn that the hospital finally agreed to discharge Eve. Worn down by illness, she had grown thin, and months of chemotherapy had taken her hair as well. Seeing Eve's pale and haggard face, Enzo felt deep pain for her. That unpleasant, decaying smell seemed even stronger. That night, Eve and Danny talked for a long time. The treatment no longer had any meaning for her. She only wanted to spend her remaining time with her family. After another examination, the doctor gave Eve a final prognosis.
I stayed awake all that night and many others that followed. The demon was coming for Eve, but he would have to get through me first.
Sometimes Danny and Enzo stayed up together through the night. She could not fight against the arrangements of fate. All she could do was spend as much time as possible with her family in the time she had left. One night, Eve quietly said goodbye to Enzo. Eve's death, her parents fought Danny for custody of Zoe. When Enzo saw Danny pick up the document giving up custody, he could no longer stay still. He knew he had to do something. As Danny handed the papers to the lawyer, Enzo snatched them away in his mouth. By the time everyone ran outside, the documents had already been torn to shreds.
Call their lawyers. Tell them we'll see them in court. I made Eve a promise. I'm not quitting.
Man, I gotta get me a dog.
As the only witness, Eve's mother confirmed Danny's actions that day. But just as the judge was about to deliver the verdict, she changed her testimony under the weight of her conscience. With the mother-in-law's help, the father-in-law withdrew all charges, and Danny successfully gained custody of his daughter. Zoe's return filled the house with laughter once again, but Enzo could no longer take part in that happiness. His life was short, yet it was brilliant enough to be envied by any other dog. After some time, Enzo completely lost his ability to move. Natural decline is a rule no living being can escape. Feeling Enzo's life growing weaker and weaker, Danny knew their farewell was drawing near. Watching Enzo's favorite show on television, a sudden thought came to Danny's mind. Perhaps becoming a race car driver had always been Enzo's greatest dream. A red race car sped across the track, and they enjoyed their final moments together.
You've been a good friend. Very good friend.
The best of friends.